Hello, welcome back to Hazel Jane Tarot, and today I am going to be showing you my minor favorites. So these are cards that I've chosen from my tarot deck collection for the minor arcana 1 through 10. This is kind of a VR to a few people. So first of all, Toadstool Tarot started the hashtag major favorites, which I've done, and I'll link both of his and my video for that below. Then Atypical Tarot started the court card favorites hashtag, which I also did, and I will link both his and my video below as well. And there was another channel, Crystal Spirit, which had done the court card favorites with the minor arcana all together as one video. And so I'll link her video below as well. My selection here is for the court card or the minor arcana 1 through 10. Now, so what I did was my process was I pulled out not all of my tarot decks, but maybe about 15 of my favorite decks, and I went through all the minors and just pulled out any minor arcana cards that I particularly liked, and then I sorted all of those into piles according to the suit, and then split that down into the numbers. And then so for some cards I only had one option, but for some cards I had maybe picked out 10 different versions of that card, because maybe that's a card that was a favorite anyway, and maybe it's depicted really well in a lot of decks. So it was good fun. It was nice to go through and see and look at a lot of different decks in my collection. And so I've come up with a weird and wonderful minor arcana with a mix of a whole lot of different decks. So we'll start off with the wands. And I'll be honest, this is maybe a funny one to start with, because the wands, the Ace of Wands is one of the cards that I actually hadn't immediately chosen. When I put out all the cards I'd chosen for the wand suit, I had no aces. So maybe the aces aren't, the Ace of Wands aren't usually terribly exciting visually. I'm not sure, but I had to go back and choose one to fill the gap, and one that I had sort of toyed with choosing when I was going through the deck initially, and then had passed it by, was this Ace of Wands from the Slow Tarot. I really like the colour. I really like the little salamander climbing up the wand, and yeah, so that's the one I went for to fill that spot. Then the Two of Wands, this is also from the Slow Tarot. So these are both from the Slow Tarot. And the Two of Wands, this was such a given in terms of knowing that this was going to be my favorite Two of Wands. I didn't pull any other Two of Wands from any other decks, because I all had this one from the Slow Tarot in mind all along. So I love this because the person pictured looks like a very everyday person. She would remind me of somebody that I might know. I really like the way the perspective is in this image. I like the fact that there seem to be piles of maps and a globe in the background as this person is planning out maybe their adventures that they're planning to have, which I feel really chimes with the Two of Wands meaning, and I really, really love this particular image. For the Three of Wands, I had a harder time choosing. If you follow me on Instagram, I have posted some of my short lists in photographs there. So if you don't already, if you head over to Instagram at Hazel Jane Tarot, all one word, you'll be able to see some of my short lists there. But this one from the Painted Tarot by Sophie McKay Knight was my first choice for the Three of Wands, because I just love how, with really simple color, just a few colors, and the composition is quite simple, but it really communicates the emotion of the Three of Wands. This person seems to be standing on a cliff top. I feel like the wind in their hair, and there's a sense of expectation, of looking out to the horizon, of maybe waiting for your ships to come in, which really speaks to the Three of Wands meaning. And so I'll just lift those out of the way. So for the Four of Wands, I went for the Four of Fire from the Gaian Tarot. So this is a little bit different from some of the other, maybe more Rider-Waite-Smith based images where you tend to see like a wedding or a celebration. And here the Four of Fire is more talking about or communicating a person being really strong within their own power. If you think about wands and fire as being about your creativity or your spiritual, your spirituality, your energy, and the four being a very stable, grounded number, and this person is, standing very strong in their power, whether that's their creativity, their sexuality, their spirituality, and this person sort of standing in sacred circle, I just think communicates that really powerfully, and I love this particular card. For the Five of Wands, I've gone for the Five of Candles. And this one is from the Numinous Tarot. And one of the things I love in this depiction, we often see people holding wands and seeming to either fight really with wands or staffs in this image. And here it's not so much the sense of physical conflict, but we have these five people who all have a taper and they all could light the candle, but they're sort of arguing over who is going to light the candle. And there's a sense of, like, maybe you can imagine a committee where people are trying to make a decision and they've all got the same end goal or overall priority, but everybody has their own ideas about how to go about it, and there's a lot of conflict. And I feel like it uses this metaphor of lighting the candle really effectively to sort of capture the different types of conflict that people could have, that's represented by the Five of Candles. Or the Five of Wands or fire. So I really like that particular image. For the Six of Wands, I've chosen again from the Gaian Tarot. This is the Six of Fire, and if we think about the Six of Wands as being like the person coming in triumph, I like how this depiction is a slightly more egalitarian depiction of the six. We often see like a leader triumphant on horseback, kind of above everyone else, whereas here we have people together kind of in community. You see them, somebody is, we've got this fire built, we have drummers, we have someone playing a whistle or a flute, and this woman in the middle is dancing, and it's like her dance is the focus and she is being celebrated and her power and her creativity is being celebrated, but it's kind of the overall setting is more one of a group of peers collaborating or a community sharing in the celebration of that creativity rather than one person being more dominant. So as a creative person, I really enjoy this depiction of someone really just being in their creative power and celebrating that. So for the Seven of Wands, I came back again to the Numinous Tarot. So I have chosen quite a few minor cards from the Numinous Tarot. It is a fantastic deck, particularly in the minor arcana, in how each image has been conceived in a really relatable way. And here, the Seven of Wands, we have the person who's taking the high ground, trying to defend their position, and they're being attacked. Well, here we have a person who is walking on the catwalk, but you can see the audience is not celebrating them. The audience is looking really angry. They look like they're maybe going to attack the person who's walking down the catwalk. And, there's a sense of threat. But the person on the catwalk is holding their head high and they are, strutting their stuff and proud to be themselves and to be seen to be themselves. And they are the seventh candle themselves. And I think that's a very powerful way of looking at the Seven of Wands energy. For the Eight of Wands, I've chosen the Modern Witch Tarot. I don't really think the Eight of Wands is that interesting a card, really, and the ones that I picked for my shortlist tended to be the ones that had a little bit more to say than just 8 wands. Weirdly, I have a preference that I prefer 8 of Wands cards where the wands are moving from left to right. When the wands are pointed from right to left, it feels to me like they're going backwards, which is probably just because, you know, I write in English and the letters go from left to right as you write. I think that must be why. And perhaps if I, you know, wrote a language that was written the other direction, that would seem like forwards. But for me, the Eight of Wands, it feels like it's moving forwards when it's going that way. But yeah, like of other depictions, maybe there was one that had the Eight of Wands was like comets, you know, things, a sense of fast movement, but depicted in different ways. We have here the motorbike, and that just adds a little bit of something to the sense of forward motion of the wands. The Nine of Wands was a lot of different ways of looking at the Nine of Wands, different depictions, and I've gone for something. I sort of surprised myself by choosing this one from the Shimmering Veil Tarot. And this is a deck that's still quite new to me and I haven't worked with a huge amount. But if we think of the Nine of Wands energy as being, you know, having been through a certain amount of trial and effort and difficulty to get to where you are, and then holding your position and, you know, kind of maintaining your defensive position. There's something about this image of the figure standing in the fire that just is really haunting and effective. When I think about, you know, the posture to me seems like someone who's standing with their shoulders square and their hands in their pockets in a kind of relaxed but very upright stance. And then all around them there's this crazy tempest of fire and flame, and they don't seem to be affected by it. And that sense of holding your ground and maintaining, you know, in the face of struggle and difficulty, I felt like it captures it in a way that I find hard to articulate. And that's something about that deck, the Shimmering Veil. It depicts the archetypes in a new way that I'm not familiar with, really. And then the final one that I've chosen, then the 10, I've come back again to the Numinous Tarot. Now, this image of the 10 of candles, the 10 of wands, this just blows me away. And for reasons that the creator did not intend at all, I'm sure. Cedar is a non-binary person and created this deck to depict all non-binary characters and to reflect, you know, the LGBTQ plus experience. And when I looked at this card, what I saw was a woman in childbirth. Now, of course, it's, you know, that could be part of what Cedar was imagining for this image. But it's not something that's referenced in the guidebook or anything. But having been through the experience of childbirth, when I look at this, the strength and the endurance and the power in this person's face, and just that sheer hot burning intensity of all of those candles just melting down on top of this person, and yet they are just about managing to keep themselves up, to keep their back strong, to keep going. I just think it's a really very powerful depiction. And it's also, I think, because I drew this card in a reading about the year in which I had my child. This was one of the cards I drew, reflecting on the year past to actually represent that experience. This was the card that came out to represent having had my child, and it just really spoke to me. And if that is what Cedar had in mind, like, I mean, it's very powerful to show a non-binary person in childbirth. That's an important thing to have depicted as well. But this card, I think, is a very strong 10 of candles regardless. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't read that interpretation into it, but that's what it says to me. And I'm going to try to just zoom out now and see if I can show you all 10 of the wands lined up here. Let's see if I can get out far enough. So we've got the 1, the 2, the 3. Okay, so this is my minor favorites for the wands. So we have the slow tarot, the painted tarot, the Gaian tarot, the numinous tarot a few times, the Gaian tarot again, the modern witch, and the shimmering veil tarot. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the cups. So the Ace of Cups, once again, I didn't choose a lot of Ace of Cups as I was going through my decks because I knew that the one I was going to choose for the Ace of Cups was this one from the Druidcraft Tarot. It's just so beautiful with the way the water is overflowing. We've got the natural waterfalls, and then we have the kind of fountain effect of the cup, and it's just beautiful. And there are loads of lovely Ace of Cups depictions, but that one just is my favourite, and I had remembered it as a favourite. For the Two of Cups, I have chosen the Two of Cups from the Tarot of the Divine. This is a fairly new to me tarot deck as well, and I'm just checking the book to make sure I give you the right names for the characters here. So I think it's Enkidu and Gilgamesh are the two characters that are depicted. Sorry, that noise you can hear is me flicking through the pages of the guidebook. Oh, and I can't find it. Sorry. Sorry, and the index is almost no help in this book as well. Okay, so yes, I've just checked there. So in the Beneath the Moon guidebook, it's the story of Enkidu and Gilgamesh from Sumerian mythology. So we have this beautiful, tender picture of two men, and one of the things that, apart from the diversity and representation here of the male couple, another thing that I really like in terms of just capturing the Two of Cups energy is we have a kind of union of opposites and of equals here, because according to the myth, like my understanding of the myth just from the guidebook is that this isn't necessarily a romantic story in the mythology, but the way that has been depicted here looks quite romantic and can be interpreted in that way. But that Enkidu was created as an equal to Gilgamesh, to be like a companion, and he's kind of the animalistic side of Gilgamesh's character, and I am probably paraphrasing that really badly, but that's sort of what I remember from my first read through of the guidebook. But this idea that we could have two characters that are opposite but equal, and here they've come together as companions or as a couple, or kind of in a union together. I think that's a really lovely way of depicting the Two of Cups energy, and it's just a lovely image as well. So that is from the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani. And then here, the Three of Cups. There were so many good Three of Cups, and I've gone for the one from the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. And it's just a lovely image of three women together enjoying a drink, and the whatever it is, wine being poured into the teacups. It's just really cute, and I really like it. So the sunshine, the dappled sunshine on their skin, and yeah, it looks like it would be a nice party to go to. So for the Four of Cups, I've chosen this one from the Triple Goddess Tarot. And this is a deck that I've had from quite early on in my kind of second wave of tarot, I guess you could call it. Sort of since I got back into tarot, this was an early deck that I got. And the art in it is really lovely, and I just love this sort of wistful ennui that is captured in this image. The things that are hidden from sight, the cups that they maybe don't even realize that they have or they've forgotten about, and looking out the window in a wistful way. It's just a really nice image. I've also taken the Five of Cups from the same deck, from the Triple Goddess Tarot. And here it's not really about the symbolism in any particular way. Like very many Five of Cups that are Rider-Waite-Smith based, we have the 3 spilled cups and the 2 upright cups. There's a bit of a sense of hope in the sunrise or the sunshine behind this character, that we often have in some of those images, but it's just such a strong image. The way the hair is across the face and the head is bowed and the black clothing, and it just captures something really strong. And I remember kind of gasping at this image when I first looked through the deck when it was new to me. So I just really, really like this image. In the Six of Cups, I've gone for the Shimmering Veil Tarot. This is an independent deck by Cilla Conway. And a few things that I like about this image. I like the way the texture of the paint is different in this section than it is in this section. We have what looks like an older woman, and I suppose with the Shimmering Veil, because the images are a little bit more abstract, a little bit more vague, you can, another person might interpret this image in a different way to me, but what I see is an old woman, and either the old woman is looking at some children at play or is remembering themselves or their own children as young children at play. And the fact that this section has a different texture, seems to be bathed in sunlight, and the paint is a rougher texture, it makes it seem to me almost like a thought bubble, like a memory, or rather than a scene that they're actually viewing in that moment. And like here, things seem a little bit darker, but over here, like in the memory, the nostalgia is very bright. So I think there's kind of a sweet sadness to this image that speaks to the Six of Cups very powerfully. So for the Seven of Cups, again, there were loads of really good Seven of Cups. But I ended up choosing this one from the Dreamkeepers Tarot. And what I particularly like in this image is it's not that we don't have the different things in the different cups, but instead we have the face and the eyes fractured off into loads of different pieces and looking off in different directions, and the eyes have been mixed up and cut up in a way that captures that sense of confusion or of different options, or of maybe being almost overwhelmed with choices and options, like you can see in the Seven of Cups. For the Eight of Cups, I went for this one from the Painted Tarot by Sophie Mackay Knight. And one thing I love in this, apart from just the vivid colours, like this fantastic crimson pink and the blue background, it's just gorgeous to look at, is the posture and facial expression of the person here. So in the Eight of Cups, there's a sense of leaving and walking away. And sometimes when I look at this character, they seem to me to be dancing away and to be full of joy at leaving. And then other times I look at them and they seem to be tearful in their face and to be very sad at leaving. And there's also like a sense of a bird here in front of the moon, which I really like. So there's a kind of ambiguity to that Eight of Cups that I think reads very well. And for the Nine of Cups, we're back with the Numinous Tarot, and I absolutely love this 9. It's the 9 of Vials, and it's just so joyful. And while the person depicted in this image doesn't look like any specific individual that I know, this face is, and the face and body, like this person is just so much like people that I know, if that makes sense. Like they look like somebody that I would be having a drink with or would work with, or there are a number of different people who feel like this person to me, if that makes sense. And I just love all the little vials hanging on their fingers. I love their happy facial expression. There's just a sense of abundance with the flowing of the water and just real joy in this 9 of cups. There are 9 of vials that I just really, really love. And then for the 10 of cups, I ended up choosing this image from the Druidcraft Tarot, and there's so many lovely depictions of the 10 of Cups, and many of them have more kind of contemporary or more diverse depictions of the family, the happy family that we see under the rainbow, you know, in the 10 of Cups. But this one, I think I ended up choosing because, I mean, the art is beautiful. This card has a kind of personal relevance for me. My sister has a son and then a baby or a younger child. Her younger child is a girl. And so when she was giving birth to the girl, I pulled some cards that morning, and this was the card I pulled, you know, and the fact that we saw the husband, you know, the father and the mother with the older boy and then the little baby just spoke to their family. And then I also pulled the Princess of Wands, I think it was, from this deck as well. And I felt from those cards that they were going to have a girl, which they did. And so those are the cards I pulled that morning. But so it has a kind of a personal resonance for me, this card, and it reminds me of my sister's family when I see it. So that's why I chose this one as my favourite for the 10 of Cups. So I'm just going to pull out again and see if I can get them all lined up for my personal minor arcana of the cups. So let's see. When you see them all together, you know, they're not particularly harmonious in the sense of, you know, the way a deck normally harmonizes with its artwork. But here we have, for my minor favorites for the cups, we have the Druidcraft Tarot, we have the Tarot of the Divine, the Slow Tarot, the Triple Goddess Tarot, the Shimmering Veil, Dreamkeeper's Tarot, Painted Tarot, and the Numinous Tarot. Now I'm actually going to stop the video here and record the other 2 suits, the Swords and Pentacles, as a separate video, because this is already, I can't believe it, 28 minutes long. So thank you for watching, and please come back to see the next installment of my minor favorites, and maybe like this video, subscribe to my channel, and you won't miss part 2. Thanks for watching.